Hello everyone, we are going to watch Japanese streets, and this it says here that its gutters are not this clean, so let's watch.
Hello world.
For Japan.
You might have seen images of this online. Sparkling clean water flowing through street gutters in Japan. And swimming in that crystal clear water, colorful koi. Here's a quote from an article I found online. In most cities, drainage canals are the last place you'd expect wildlife to thrive. However, in the city of Shimabara, on Japan's Kyushu Island, the street gutters are so clean, they are home to hundreds of koi carp.
To be honest, I could
That's
even
all
drink
a giant load of crap. Not
drink
carp,
that water.
but crap. What you're seeing here is a protected, sectioned-off canal that's stocked with koi, a kind of carp, for the purpose of trapping tourists.
昭和53年、町おこしのためにこの錦鯉を放流しました。すると、島原は一躍鯉の泳ぐ町となったわけなんです。
So no, this is not what street gutters, storm drains, storm sewers, drainage canals, or whatever you want to call them, are like in Japan.
That's nice.
So, what are they like? Well, I suppose it depends on where you're located. In the inaka, the countryside, you can find these water canals that are quite clear. This is right next to the road, so I think you can call it a street gutter. But the water is also used to irrigate fields, so it's an irrigation canal? It's stormwater and irrigation water? Well, for the purposes of this video, it doesn't really matter. I can tell you though, that I saw a snake slipping and sliding down it, but I was too slow to capture it on video. Actually, you'll often see snakes, frogs, and birds hanging around in paddies where rice is grown. Now in the cities, you can find streams and canals like this. They're nice to walk along. Kids can play in them. Boys swim in them. With all these water systems I showed, even though they run along streets or sidewalks, the sources of water and the purposes for it being there vary. Some you could actually put a cup in and drink, while others you only do so after the water has been treated at a facility. Okay, so let's start off with the most visually stunning water. The one that spawns misinformation around the internet, the spring water in Shimabara. Shimabara is located in the prefecture of Nagasaki in the southern part of Japan. The reason the water is crystal clear and drinkable is because it's spring water that wells up out of the ground.
But he says because this is only to attract tourists.
That erupted in 1792.
That part of the water.
During that eruption,
that thing, it's not.
But
normally, it's not that clean in Japan.
Really?
The street gutters, he said it. It's only that piece. Yeah, that piece to attract.
It's not like this. This is a water feature.
Things.
However, this is indeed the site of one of the many springs that popped up.
Isn't it like Japan
the new
really
lake formed
always
at the site of a graveyard.
Yes, but it's like a sewer, is that?
System to partially drain it. But if you follow the
normal,
canal,
no? The
you'll find
sewers
another
are not
cold
clean.
spring source. This one's so much more visually appealing, as you can see exactly where the springs flow out of the ground.
Cool.
So I read somewhere that iPhones are waterproof, and not having any other waterproof camera on me, I decided to test it out. And what do you know? It worked! Right beside the cold springs, you'll find this tea house with a view like no other. 1,000 tons of water springs up every day out of here. Over here, the cold springs flow out into the street gutters, and the water was so pure that koi started to spawn. Well, not exactly. In 1978, local residents decided to make a tour. If you look closely at the canals, you'll find the prison bars. That's right, these koi are being held captive. It's very convenient since you can easily film these koi as they're going nowhere. And once again, the iPhone comes in handy.
Seriously?
But they
You
can't
can put-
go out.
The speakers
No, I
stop
mean like
working,
you can
but
put
hey,
your phone
It's
there.
all about the shot.
An
right?
iPhone.
An
Yeah,
iPhone, am
apparently
I?
it's waterproof.
So
so
waterproof? Don't have that.
So was the water as clean as it looks? It is.
Yeah.
In fact, they have spring water stations located throughout, and even a hot spring one. I'm going to try out this water, see if it's good or not.
Okay.
There's even a thing to
It
scoop.
has a different taste. I can't tell you what kind of taste it is,
Scoop
but
the one.
maybe
That's
it's
cool.
like
I know.
carbonated?
お水が柔らかい。飲みやすい。
Okay.
It's fresh. It's clean. Oh, that's nice, no?
Actually, it's the same as the other one.
熱いよ。 熱いよ。
And the glass is
Wait,
just
it's
there.
こ
hot.
れでいいかな。いい？
Is it warm? Not cold. Maybe because it's
しょっぱい甘じょっぱい。甘じょっぱい。
I thought the stations were tourist attractions like the koi. But after spending a few minutes filming, I realized I was wrong. Local after local were pulling up to make use of the free, fresh spring water.
Of course.
There are several locations like here as well. It's said that if you dump water on this turtle's head 20 times, you'll live a long life. I'll let you know how it goes.
It's so cool.
Yeah, I'll live forever. If you research Shimabara, you'll probably find
Wow,
images of
that's
this.
nice,
A community
no?
spot where the water is separated
Look at
based on
that.
usage. Area 1 is for washing fish or other food. Area 2 is for rinsing dishes or food. Area 3 is for washing dishes or
Are
food.
you serious? You can
Area
go there
4
to
is for
clean your
laundry.
thing?
While they did make use of systems like this in the past, nowadays
Oh,
it's a
it's
tourist
like a
attraction,
separated
just like
land.
before.
Yeah.
In the castle town part of the city is where the samurai
I'm
lived,
amazed.
and in one section they preserved what it was like in the Edo era over 150 years ago.
Dum-dum.
Here, abundant spring water was channeled in the center of the road for daily use. But yeah, this only goes on for a few blocks. The rest of the town looks like this. However,
So
there are
quite
60
okay.
cold springs throughout the town that indeed provide fresh, clean,
Look
slightly
at
carbonated water.
that. You can just walk, and then if you're
So one
thirsty,
thing
you
I
can
came
just.
across online was this
Why can't
explanation
you
that
do that
koi fish are
here?
known to rely on an extremely high quality of water for survival. So the fact that they can thrive in this
Oh, that's
peculiar
good, yeah.
environment is a true testament to the
nice.
purity of the area's water. How true is that?
Oh, we also saw
Use
Back
that.
your
in Tokyo,
hand.
you can also
Well, there's
find
a
koi
turtle
swimming
also.
around in the street gutters. But of course I lied. These are not street gutters, but rather water canals that are part of Shinsui Koens. In English, that's a hydrophilic park. Don't worry, I never heard that term before, so in plain English, it means it's a park for enjoying water. The source of this water depends on the exact location and the time of year. The water is pumped in from the surrounding rivers, like the Edogawa, Nakagawa, or Shin Nakagawa, and you can often see it flowing out of these rock formations.
God, they're so lucky.
Since you can find koi in the water, does that mean that the water from the rivers in Tokyo are of extremely high quality? Well, after being processed at the local water plants, it's certainly good enough to drink. You can get it through the water fountains at the park,
That was
or the
always
tap
in
from
there,
your sink
remember
at
that?
home.
Yeah, we
Depending
also
on
the
the
saw
weather,
prank.
it can range from decent to not safe enough to swim in. Heavy rainfalls can overwhelm the purification plants, and untreated sewage can flow into the rivers and then Tokyo Bay.
That's
So
true.
something that confused me was that a lot of these hydrophilic parks have play areas for kids in the summer. Does that mean that kids are playing in pumped-in river water? The same water that is sometimes not safe enough to swim in? Well, we called up the city office and found that for the sections that kids play in, they use water from the purification plant with added chlorine. These parks are only officially open for playing in the summer, so for the rest of the time, some of them switch back to water pumped directly from the river instead of the purification plant. So during the summer, the answer is no. The water is purified and chlorinated.
No, okay.
But at other times of the year, then maybe. But whether the water is treated or not, these systems are separate from the street gutters that flow into the storm drains.
That's there, I think.
However, all the water does find its way back into the rivers they came from. So how clean is water in Japanese street gutters? Generally, they're fairly free of trash and well maintained. If there are koi living in them, then at least for the areas I researched, they are in fact separate water systems and not street gutters. Something that is a bit sad is that right next to the famous
Oh,
example
that's a
of koi
nice
living in the
place.
spring water canal in Shimabara, they made a water park for kids. It even won a Handmade Hometown Award in 2000 for its high-quality social infrastructure that creates regional charm. But talking to the cleaners,
Is
we learned
this
that the
a
users of the
province,
park regularly
area
leave
in
trash,
Japan?
so they shut off the
I
flowing
guess
water.
so.
It's a city, no?
We shot this after
This
the
is a
cleaners came by,
city? No.
but before they started cleaning,
Pretty
it
sure
was
it's a
surprising how much
province
garbage
area.
there was. So even in the area, with some of the cleanest water in Japan, you'll
Oh,
unfortunately
let me go
find
there.
places that are not so clean.
That's so
As a whole,
relaxing.
Japan's
and
waterways are pretty clean, but not
don't
always
think
as
they
clean
have
as you think.
stress. I don't think
Oh,
they.
no.
They.
I was checking the video for errors for the umpteenth time and realized something. While Japanese street gutters are not this clean, this specific street gutter I showed is. It's a unique hybrid street gutter / koi swimming pool, but it's a street gutter. Cars
Okay.
drive down the street and there's nowhere else for runoff to go but into it. As mentioned
That's
earlier,
nice.
there's 1,000 tons of water bubbling out of the nearby spring each day, providing a constant flow of clean water. So yeah, Japan has a koi-filled street gutter full of clean water. Tell your friends. Today's
Nice.
video is sponsored
And
by Skillshare.
why did you say it's dirty?
No, he was wrong. He thought that was not a street gutter like a sewer here, you know, like sort of a sewer. But he found out it actually is. So he thought it was like with different water than, you know, from rain and stuff. So,
Or from the falls or something like
yeah,
that?
so he.
So it's also from the gutters?
Yeah, no, so that thing where the koi was really a street gutter because the cars were driving there, so it was clean. That's nice.
So yeah, am I?